The search for truth, Sharon, Phyllis, and the Newman family's concerns. On a rainy morning in Genoa City, Sharon Newman and Phyllis Summers wake up in a dark, shadowy room, unaware that their lives are about to take a dangerous and mysterious turn. Both women have deep ties to the Newman family, but now they must work together to find the person who kidnapped them and put them in their current predicament. The search begins. Sharon and Phyllis know that they can't do anything without working together. They are determined to find the kidnapper, but things aren't as easy as they seem. Sharon, with her sharp wit, theorizes that the kidnapper may be watching them all the time, forcing them to be extra careful as they discuss their escape plan. Phyllis, with her strong and determined nature, insists that they won't give up in this situation. The two begin to examine every little detail around them, trying to find clues to get out of this situation. Meanwhile, in Genoa City, Daniel Romalotti is feeling stressed when he cannot contact his mother. He and Billy Abbott sit together at a cafe, discussing Phyllis's disappearance. Daniel is worried about his mother's sudden disappearance and begins to suspect that it may not just be Phyllis who is missing, but that there is a larger conspiracy going on. He wonders if someone in the Newman family is hiding something about his mother's situation. Disturbing news and Chance's investigation. The investigation into Sharon and Phyllis's disappearance also makes Nick Newman and Summer Newman nervous. A meeting is held at Crimson Lights, where Chance Chancellor meets them to deliver disturbing news. There is no trace of Phyllis. Her car is still at GCAC, and there's no record of her going anywhere, Chance announced, making both Nick and Summer even more uneasy. Summer, her anxiety flaring, couldn't understand why there was no trace. "That doesn't make any sense," she said, clutching her coffee cup. Nick, like a worried father, also noticed something was off. "And Sharon didn't tell Esther she was leaving town," Nick said, his voice filled with concern. Both Phyllis and Sharon's disappearances were murky and without a plausible explanation. Chance got a call as the conversation progressed. The news about Sharon added to the tension. "We checked Sedona, there's no record of her checking into any of the spas in town," Chance said, delivering the information coldly. "There's no evidence of her flying anywhere." Those words make Nick start to question everything. Why would Sharon call him at that time? Why is there no trace of her? Summer suggests that maybe Sharon just wanted some alone time and didn't want anyone looking for her, but Nick disagrees. Sharon and Phyllis are both missing. "This isn't a coincidence," he says, his eyes filled with concern. "This only confirms that something bigger is going on and that their disappearance wasn't a random event." Daniel and the search for his mother. Daniel can't sit idly by while his mother goes missing. He becomes anxious and determined to find out the truth, not only because Phyllis is his mother, but also because he suspects that there's something fishy behind her disappearance. Together with Billy, Daniel discusses the search for Phyllis. An idea flashed through his mind: maybe he could locate his mother's phone to find clues. Daniel and Billy began researching ways to track Phyllis's phone. After a tense discussion with a tech expert, Daniel found important information. Phyllis's phone was turned off, but there was a trace left from a remote area near Genoa City, where there was an abandoned lot. With this clue, Daniel and Billy decided to investigate further. They went to the abandoned lot and began searching. After many hours of exhausting searching, they finally found an abandoned car, along with some strange traces. This made Daniel feel that this case was not only related to Phyllis, but also involved the intervention of a larger force, something he could not fully understand. The disappearance of Sharon and Phyllis was a mess, and recent events made everyone unable to stop worrying. Daniel and Billy continue their search for Phyllis, while Nick, Summer, and Chance investigate Sharon. Each faces unknown threats, but they all know that the investigation will not be easy and that deep secrets will be revealed. While Sharon and Phyllis are facing the silence of the world around them, their loved ones continue to hope and fight to find the truth, no matter what dangers they face. How will this situation change? Will the truth about who is behind these disappearances be revealed, and will Sharon and Phyllis be able to overcome this challenge? The answer will not be easy, but what is certain is that their search for the truth has only just begun. Missing investigation. The mystery behind the disappearance of Phyllis and Sharon. Genoa City, a city usually busy with complicated relationships and dark secrets, is plunged into an unprecedented wave of tension when Phyllis Summers and Sharon Newman suddenly go missing. No one can explain the disappearance of these two strong women, and the question of who is behind the kidnapping remains unanswered. Strange clues, suspicions, and tensions between the characters begin to rise, as each of them has a reason to find out the truth. Who will be the one to solve this mystery? And can Phyllis and Sharon survive and escape their captors? Daniel and Billy, finding out what happened to Phyllis while the whole city is reeling from the disappearance of Phyllis and Sharon. Daniel Romalotti, Phyllis's son, is still searching for the truth. He can't bear not being able to contact his mother. With anxiety rising, Daniel can't stop thinking about what happened. Especially when he remembers the last phone call Phyllis made to Summer. "Nobody's heard from my mom. She called Summer, but none of it makes sense. Did she just take off and make a quick phone call?" Daniel said to Billy, his eyes filled with worry. He knew his mother was not the type to disappear without a trace. Billy Abbott, who had always been a trusted friend of Daniel's, listened and tried to reassure him. "Phyllis is not the type to do something like that. She was always careful and never missed a sign." Billy sensed that something was wrong, but he could not explain why Phyllis would disappear so suddenly. The two began to discuss possible theories. Billy suggested that Phyllis and Sharon might have been kidnapped together. Phyllis and Sharon are two people who could be targeted by someone. If we look deeper, maybe we can find a clue. However, Daniel did not fully agree with this theory. He insisted that there was something deeper going on. Ian Ward and Jordan are the only ones crazy enough to do something like that, Daniel said, recalling his dark past. But they're both dead. This puzzled Daniel, and he decided to continue investigating to find out the truth. Just then, Daniel's phone rang. Summer, Phyllis's daughter, called and informed him that Chance had some news to tell him. Billy decided to go with Daniel, and the two prepared to set out to meet Chance. In the dark basement, Sharon and Phyllis tried to find the truth. Meanwhile, Phyllis and Sharon were facing an extremely dangerous situation. They woke up in a dark space, with no sign of escape nearby. Phyllis looked around, realizing that she and Sharon were being held captive in a secret basement, unknown to anyone. However, Sharon was not one to give up easily. She began to look around, rummaging through the books and documents she found in the dark room. "I'm trying to find clues about the identity of the kidnapper," Sharon said, trying to stay calm and think logically. "What if our kidnapper is a doctor or a patient here? Maybe we're being targeted by someone in the medical field." Phyllis, sharp and practical by nature, didn't buy this theory. "Whoever did this didn't want to be found out. If we were the target, they would definitely do everything they could to leave no trace." Phyllis insisted that their kidnapper would have to be very careful and calculating. But Sharon still wouldn't let go of her theory, suggesting that the kidnapper might have some connection to the medical field that they hadn't yet realized. The tension between the two grew as they realized that neither of them had enough information to explain exactly why this kidnapping had happened. Both Sharon and Phyllis felt confused, but they both knew that they could not continue to sit and wait and had to act. While Daniel and Billy are on their way to meet Chance, the investigation into Phyllis and Sharon's disappearance continues to rage. Chance, Nick Newman, and Summer Newman meet at Crimson Lights to discuss the progress of the investigation. Chance reports that there is no trace of Phyllis and Sharon. Phyllis's car is still at GCAC, and there's no record of her going anywhere, Chance says, leaving Nick and Summer puzzled. And Sharon didn't tell Esther she was leaving town, Nick worries. Neither of them have a trace. It's not a simple coincidence. Chance, always cool under the weather, continues to provide disturbing information. "We checked Sedona. There's no record of Sharon checking into any spas in town. There's no evidence of her flying anywhere." These news only add to the unease in everyone's hearts, as they realize that this disappearance is no ordinary incident. An unsolved mystery, with strange clues and unclear news, the search for Phyllis and Sharon continues to become tense. Daniel, Billy, Chance, Nick and Summer all understand that they are facing a mystery that is bigger than they thought. The clues they find cannot help them answer the question of who is behind this kidnapping. The only thing they can do is continue to investigate, hoping to find the truth. And while they continue their journey to find the truth, Phyllis and Sharon are facing the challenges of survival in the dark basement, fighting to regain their freedom. Can they overcome this dangerous situation? The answer will be revealed in the following episodes, as everything becomes clearer. The tense confrontation. Sharon and Phyllis approach the truth in the dark room where Sharon Newman and Phyllis Summers are held. Things seem chaotic and tense. They don't know why they've been kidnapped, but it's clear that someone is trying to make them face terrible challenges. During their captivity, the two must not only struggle to discover the identity of their captor, but also face internal conflicts, doubts, and challenging innuendos. Doubts and revelations. Sharon sits with her back against the wall, looking at Phyllis with a tense gaze. She begins to ask Phyllis a sarcastic, but also practical question: do you have a better idea? Phyllis, with her usual sharp and determined personality, immediately replies, actually, I do. She went on to explain that maybe everyone had a price, and she was willing to pay a large sum of money to leave. This surprised Sharon and made her a little annoyed. I doubt it was for money, Sharon replied, looking displeased. She felt that the real motives might be deeper than just money. Phyllis curled her lips again, continuing her reasoning: maybe it's someone who hates us so much. And maybe someone who has been affected by our past conflicts. These words made Sharon even more confused, and a thought flashed through her mind: could their family members be secretly behind this incident? Noticing the tension between them, Phyllis continued to push her hypothesis. She asked Sharon, do you think Daniel and Summer could be behind this? Sharon paused, thought for a moment, and then replied, that makes sense in a twisted way. However, Sharon did not entirely agree with Phyllis. She emphasized that it was impossible to blame Daniel or Summer alone, even though they might have had conflicts with both of them. Phyllis, not letting Sharon continue, continued, maybe Summer and I were involved. This caused Sharon to turn to Phyllis with a suspicious look. Phyllis replied without hesitation, if you want to take off your gloves, then you are involved in this. The tension in the room rose as Phyllis shouted at Sharon, there is no one else you should blame but yourself. This made the atmosphere heavier than ever. A fierce clash and extreme tension. The confrontation between Sharon and Phyllis did not stop at criticism. Phyllis, in a fit of rage, grabbed a chair and threatened to smash the window. I'm going to smash this window. Sharon, unafraid, replied coolly, okay, it's only the middle of winter. We'll freeze to death. Sharon's response reflected her resilience and determination to not be defeated by any circumstances. But from here, a clear truth began to form: Sharon and Phyllis could not get out of this situation together without learning to ease the tension between them. As the situation escalates and the conflict becomes almost impossible to resolve, Sharon finally apologizes to Phyllis for implicating Daniel and Summer. Whoever is behind this knows us and hates us, Sharon says. However, the tension does not subside as Phyllis is still unable to vent her frustration. She then returns to the final question she wanted to ask the kidnapper. Is our captor entertained? Inner conflict and the mystery of the disappearance. As Phyllis asks Sharon about the kidnapper, they both realize that their existence in this situation is the result of deep conflicts between themselves and those around them. Both Phyllis and Sharon have had struggles with their families, and now, those conflicts may have led to them being in this situation. However, they cannot be sure who is behind everything. All the theories only make things more complicated. Meanwhile, the tension between them also leads to moments that make them have to look back at themselves. Sharon and Phyllis both realize that they cannot continue to live in the past, but must face the truth, no matter how bitter it is. Therefore, the struggles do not only take place outside, but also inside each person. This change is what both Sharon and Phyllis need to go through if they want to find out who is behind the kidnapping, as well as find a way out for themselves. The kidnapper has not revealed. Despite the constant questioning and tension, Sharon and Phyllis still cannot give a clear answer to the question of the kidnapper's identity. They can only face this challenge on their own, trying to control their negative emotions and find clues that can lead them out of this deadlock. With each passing moment, the anxiety and tension increase. Sharon and Phyllis both know that they must work together if they are to find a way out. However, can they overcome their conflicts and differences to face this danger together? These questions remain unanswered, and Sharon and Phyllis's journey to find the truth continues to be filled with mystery.